The other night, I watched a video essay by Swiftologist about Avril Lavigne's second album, Under My Skin, and it really pissed me off. So I decided to make my own. In his video, Swiftologist claims there are 4 main themes Lavigne addresses in Under My Skin: pick-me behavior, boy bashing, commercial female rage, and brattiness. I am a hardcore Avril Lavigne fan, and I have been since I straightened my hair all the time and wore baggy clothes to look like her, and even taught myself to skateboard because of her. She's my favorite musical artist of all time and a beacon of strength for tomboys everywhere. And whether people like it or not, she's one of the OGs for women in the alternative genres. So it made me really upset to hear one of her albums boil down to these 4 main points. And while some aspects of the list are true, we all love some good old-fashioned boy bashing, so many of the songs on Under My Skin have deep and beautiful messages that get erased when this is the narrative that is pushed. In his video, Swiftologist claims there's nothing countercultural about Avril Lavigne. However, what he's forgotten is that making an anger-filled album in the first place is a position not many women were allowed. He mentions in his video that Under My Skin is the kind of dark, heavy rock album that Lavigne wanted to make when she was writing for Let Go, her debut album, but her record label wouldn't let her. But having broken through as a new singer with more alternative singles like Losing Grip and Complicated set her apart and filled a niche that record labels had failed to see as an opportunity. She proved that exploring stereotypically unfeminine emotions and genres could work. And she even made it her brand. With Under My Skin, she dives into heavy rock, grunge, and emo composition. Sure, there were women in these scenes like Joan Jett, Debbie Harry of Blondie, and Amy Lee of Evanescence, but they weren't massively appealing to Mia B from Pre-Calc in the same way that Lavigne was. And nothing about it was commercial in the mainstream before her. It was seen as a huge risk by her label. That's why she wasn't allowed to do it for her debut album. With Under My Skin, Lavigne brought female rage into the mainstream and provided space for young women to feel that rage in a way that before was, at worst, discouraged and, at best, ignored. So I'm going to go track by track and interpret Under My Skin, an album that I think is about love, loss, grief, and the spectrum of emotions that come with it. And one in particular will stand out: rage. Track 1, Take Me Away. Starting off with a heavy banger, we have Take Me Away, a song about knowing someone is hurting you and not knowing how to explain it to that person, leaving you stagnant. I interpret this as a sort of emotional burden, because Lavigne says it's inside. I imagine it's some kind of neglect that's weighing on Lavigne, as she says, all the thoughts lead back to you, back to what was never said. We also know it's a new kind of pain, one that's all-consuming and even destructive, as the chorus ends with, I can't handle this confusion, I'm unable, come and take me away. Take me away could either mean take this feeling away or take me away from this situation. I'm not sure which I resonate with. We continue with the second verse, which depicts Lavigne's anxiety about telling the person they're causing her distress, both because she knows it would be hurtful and because she doesn't think they're capable of empathizing with her, leaving her feeling isolated. With the bridge comes the admission that Lavigne's situation isn't getting better, with her saying, I'm getting nowhere, I'm going nowhere, on and off and off and on and off and on, possibly referring to an on-off relationship or slight improvements that ultimately end in regression. Either way, Lavigne is stagnant in her misery. I don't know what to make of Take Me Away as a standalone, but you can definitely relate it to other tracks on the record. The admission of a failing relationship and Together, not being appreciated and he wasn't, or the certainty and then disaster of My Happy Ending. It even really nicely juxtaposes later track Freak Out in a way that shows personal development over the course of the album. Track 2, Together. Together is a song about realizing you're in a failing relationship. It's that moment of realization in musical form. It stands out from the rest of the album because it depicts mutual apathy on both sides of the relationship, whereas other tracks are very much about being wronged by a partner. The song starts with Lavigne telling us that she has a gut feeling that something is wrong with the relationship she's in. She then says, reality overcomes me, I'm living a lie, in regards to said relationship. The chorus is reflective, with Lavigne realizing she's happier when she's not with her partner, and that this rough patch didn't come out of nowhere, that they've both been building towards it, and the concluding line of the chorus, together, holding hands, we'll fall, alluding to the realization that staying together will only lead to a worse fallout. The second verse adds more depth, as Lavigne realizes what she needs is more support for herself. Interestingly, there's no sadness from Lavigne in losing her partner until the bridge, in which she says, "My heart is broken, I'm lying here, my thoughts are choking on you, my dear." This is the breakup. The chorus then plays again. This shows that while sad about the breakup, Lavigne still knows that it was the right decision. The whole song is a very nuanced take on a breakup. There's no blame placed, and while there's an acknowledgement of sadness, the overall theme here is that it's for the best. It's really mature, actually. Track 3, Don't Tell Me. Don't Tell Me is my favorite track on the album. It's one of my favorite songs in Lavigne's entire discography. More importantly, it's an anthem about standing up for yourself, particularly in regards to sex. Don't Tell Me tells the story of going out with a guy whose only goal is to get sex from you. In the song, Lavigne explains that she's not like that girl who gives it all away, and expresses anger over the guy's expectation that she would be willing to go all the way after one date. She furthers, "Don't try to tell me what to do, don't try to tell me what to say," holding strong in her decision to reject the guy's advances, regardless of what he might say to try to convince her. To me, this song is about self-respect. Not because abstaining makes you inherently better, but because women are often made to feel insecure in the decisions they make about their own bodies. Don't have sex, you're prudish. Indulge, and you're a slut. So being able to make a decision either way, and hold to it because it's what you feel is right, and remain confident in it, is a message that more people should be taught, especially young women in regards to their sexuality. Sex is something that a lot of young women find men have come to expect. And Lavigne's lyrics show these women that it's okay to say no, no matter how the guy reacts. And that if a guy does try to pressure you into something you're not ready for, he isn't worth your time. There's no lenience, and I like that. You can either respect the boundaries, or you can leave. To Lavigne's behest, this was the lead single for the album, and it got a music video. The music video dives deeper into the complicated emotions surrounding the topic of setting boundaries. We enter on Lavigne alone in an apartment after she's told the guy to leave, and she gets angry about it, because he does. Violently angry, to the point where she's throwing things and breaking her mirror. I like this because it illustrates the difficulty that can come with setting boundaries. Not everyone will respect them. They might not cross the line, but they might decide that they don't want to deal with that, and it's reasonable to be angry about it. It's reasonable to be upset after you find out a guy you liked only wanted you for sex. She doesn't grovel, she doesn't regret her decision, she doesn't want the guy back, but it's not rewarding. There's no immediate gratification in standing up for yourself, which is realistic. I think the song alone has a more somber but strong tone to it, while the music video adds a layer of depth with the anger Lavigne brings to the table as the story unfolds. Track 4, He Wasn't. I find the progression from Don't Tell Me to He Wasn't really interesting. To me, it's like going through a tough breakup where you've been wronged. First, you have all your emotions from when you're in the thick of it, and you're sad and angry in an almost depressed way. Then you come through the other side and you get that post-breakup clarity where you really start looking at everything that happened and you're angry in a new way. You go from, I can't believe that happened, to, I can't believe that happened. Like, you almost want to laugh at it because it's so bombastic. You're still upset that you've been wronged, but you get to revel in the fact that it's over. In He Wasn't, Lavigne sings about being blown off and not feeling appreciated by the guy she's dating before realizing she wants more than that and deciding to end the relationship. She sings, "He wasn't what I wanted, what I thought, no. He wouldn't even open up the door. He never made me feel like I was special. He isn't really what I'm looking for." This is the best example of what I think Swiftologist referred to by boy bashing, and I think he's actually right. This is a very boys ain't shit kind of song, and I think everyone kind of digs it, because sometimes, yeah, boys ain't shit. And if you feel unappreciated by your partner, maybe it is time for you to bail. And making that choice can feel very liberating, which is the kind of energy I get from this song. It's very post-breakup glow-up. This song was also a single, except for in the US for some reason, so it has a music video. The music video is very playful, and I think that just adds to the liberating feeling this song represents. There's also a point where she busts a hole in the wall in the music video and pink paint pours out, which some people speculate to be representative of moving into the Best Damn Thing era. And yeah, I think that makes sense. This song works really well as a sister song to I Can Do Better from The Best Damn Thing, so like if you buy into that theory, that's a really nice marriage of them. Track 5, How Does It Feel? How Does It Feel is a mournful track about seeing yourself separate from those around you. Some people speculate it to be about depression, and I think there's merit to that. There doesn't seem to be any official comment by Lavigne, so it's very much open to interpretation. I see the song as an elegy from Lavigne about her newfound fame. The chorus of the song, How Does It Feel to Be Different from Me? Are We the Same? Nods to the idea that there are both differences and similarities to whomever Lavigne is singing to, much like how celebrities are still people but live lives that are so vastly different from the general public that it feels like they're not. I find more evidence to support this in the first verse when Lavigne says, suddenly, I am small and the world is big, all around me is fast moving. She's lost control of her world, as the media and her fans start to put more eyes on her, and she's suddenly catapulted into a world of fame. And that, especially in the early 2000s, comes with prying interviewers, aggressive paparazzi, judgment on your appearance, and so much invasion of privacy. Lavigne is a small-town girl from Napanee, Ontario. The difference between her old life and international superstardom is like night and day. And make no mistake, Lavigne makes it clear that she's grateful for her success, but it does come with its unique struggles. She says, I am young and I am free, but I get tired and I get weak, in a beg to the audience to understand the nuance that comes with being in her position. Track 6, My Happy Ending. My Happy Ending is the second single from the record, and it seems to be the most popular song. Lavigne agrees, as she wanted it to be the lead single, and in retrospect, her gut was right, as it surpassed Don't Tell Me in streams on Spotify and views on the respective music videos on YouTube. And while neither of those metrics existed back in 2004 when this album was released, it's a good indication of the song's relevancy. It's a song about heartbreak, specifically from a relationship that you put all your faith in, only to realize the other person didn't care. The song starts with some classic self-doubt regarding the breakup, with Lavigne asking, was it something I did? Was it something you said? Trying to figure out where the relationship went wrong. This thread is built on in the music video, in which Lavigne enters a dilapidated movie theater and watches her memories of the relationship. Then comes the last plea to make this work. Don't leave me hanging in a city so dead, held up so high on such a breakable thread. That last line in particular really stands out to me, because it shows that Lavigne put all her eggs in one basket with this relationship, totally committed. So the betrayal in the chorus, you were all the things I thought I knew, and all this time you were pretending, is even worse. The chorus is really amazing in its entirety, with Lavigne lamenting the relationship she had thought was going so well and was her end-all be-all, only to be blindsided, realizing things weren't going as well as they seemed. The relationship turns sour. She says, all of the memories so close to me just fade away, tainted by the new realization that her partner wasn't everything he seemed to be. In the music video, the memories of the relationship that play on the screen turn from loving and happy to the couple fighting. It's a gut-wrenching heartbreak, realizing her true love wasn't even truthful. The second verse is more retrospective, with Lavigne seeing through the cracks, commenting on the fact that her partner's friends didn't like her and her wondering if they knew how badly he treated her. Then we get the bridge, where we start to see rage. Lavigne, armed with her 2020 hindsight, goes after her ex. Thanks for acting like you cared and making me feel like I was the only one. It's nice to know we had it all. Thanks for watching as I fall and letting me know we were done. Here we get another look into why the relationship ended. We've seen how much faith Lavigne had in the relationship, only to realize her partner didn't care, with the inciting incident for the breakup being his apathy when she tried to fix things. In the music video, this translates to Lavigne buying an electric guitar after the breakup and fueling her rage into a rock sesh in front of the ex. This is, in my opinion, one of the worst kinds of relationships. Being led on for months and months, ignoring red flags because you think you know someone, only to realize they don't care about you at all. Everything you did, All the effort you put into that relationship feels like wasted time, and you blame yourself for not having caught on earlier. Track 7, Nobody's Home. Nobody's Home is the third single from Under My Skin. Lavigne has said that it's about a girl she knew in high school who struggled with depression. She said that she watched as everything seemed to go wrong in the girl's life and she wasn't able to get herself out of the bad situation she ended up in. To me, Nobody's Home is a really good song about lacking a support system, particularly a family. This lack of support and good role models leads the girl to find herself in difficult situations because there's no one to stop her and no one to help her deal with her depression. It's an accurate depiction of the worst kind of depression and a cautionary tale for what can happen when someone who's depressed is left alone. Depression can often lead to people making bad choices, like abusing substances such as alcohol and drugs, risky sexual behavior, and engaging in behaviors that threaten serious bodily injury. That, combined with a lack of motivation, can make it difficult for a person to do schoolwork or maintain a job, and it ends up like a butterfly effect, only getting worse. Lavigne mentions watching the girl make the same mistakes again and not know where she belongs, confirming that she's stuck in a cycle of bad habits and she doesn't know where to go for help. The chorus then exaggerates the fact that the girl is alone by illustrating her home life, in which she has no one to talk to and no place to go. This is an aspect of the song that I feel could have been left open for interpretation if not for the music video, in which Lavigne, playing the girl, is shown hitchhiking and homeless. This is a beautifully written song that I think a lot of people who struggle or have struggled with depression resonate with. The themes of loneliness and not knowing how to get out of a bad situation really speak to people who have felt alone in their mental health struggles. It also doesn't have a happy ending. It's left ambiguous. We don't know what happened to the girl, we don't know if she gets better, and I think that's why this song resonates with so many people, especially teenagers. You often get told that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that you just need to keep going, but this song does none of that. It's about the worst of the worst. It makes no effort to be optimistic, and when you're going through it, you too feel like you're hiding your feelings, can't find your dreams, losing your mind and falling behind. Can't find your place, losing your faith, falling from grace, and all over the place. The bridge is really solid. It's dark, probably the darkest song on the record, but it works because it's truthful and relatable, and the grungy instrumental matches the lyrics perfectly. Track 8, Forgotten. Continuing with the grungy instrumentals, we have Forgotten, which, as the title suggests, is about feeling like your wants and needs have been forgotten or ignored by someone. Forgotten makes me think about the lines in He Wasn't and My Happy Ending, where Lavigne talks about her partners not making her feel special and being generally uncaring about her feelings. This song builds on those moments into all-out rage over being so blatantly disrespected like that. And it culminates in the bridge, where Lavigne says, "I won't be forgotten ever again." The vow she makes to herself to not put up with that kind of treatment is so vengeful and powerful. It's similar to Don't Tell Me in the ways it harkens to self-respect, and Lavigne's promise to herself isn't going to be forgotten, which we'll hear in a later track. Track 9, Who Knows? Who Knows is an outlier track on the album, but don't mistake that and think that means it's out of place. It's a really positive ballad about the uncertainty of the future and being willing to go with the flow. It's got a great message to make the most of each day because you don't know what might happen. It's also the start of a new relationship for Lavigne. Something that stands out to me about this guy is that Lavigne says, "I think I like that you seem sincere," which is a great callback to the exes from previous tracks, which have all, in one way or another, led Lavigne to think that they're not who they really are. It's not a superficial compliment, and it's an observation that makes a lot of sense given Lavigne's exes from this record. I think it shows a lot of maturity, as Lavigne leaves her teenage years behind and enters adulthood. This budding new relationship feels like a nice conclusion to Lavigne's heartbreak story, with her noting that she thinks there's potential with this new person, and that the new opportunity for love is part of what life is about. She breaks the fourth wall and encourages her audience to go, make it happen, do your best, just keep on laughing. And I really like that although this album has primarily had themes of vexation and rage, we also get to see Lavigne come out on the other side as a changed woman. Her failed relationships have taught her what to look for as she goes back to dating because of what they've taught her about herself. She's learned to stand her ground, and now she's focusing on starting over with people who exhibit traits she's realized she prioritizes, so she doesn't end up where she was before. It's not an album that leaves Lavigne anti-love, but with new eyes as she goes back at it. It's not about misery, it's about growth. And I like that we get to see the full picture of Lavigne working through her anger and coming out stronger and more self-assured. Track 10, Fall to Pieces. So, Fall to Pieces is technically the last single, but only in North America, which really means only in the US and Canada. It doesn't have a video. The international last single, He Wasn't, does. I don't know why they made this decision. I can't even find any physical releases, so I don't think it had a prominent, if any, CD release. The only physical release I found is this picture disc vinyl, which is insanely expensive. Fall to Pieces is a song about vulnerability and the fear that comes with opening up to a new person. The chorus goes, "I don't want to fall to pieces," which I think refers to Lavigne's hope that this new relationship is strong enough for her to be able to be vulnerable with this person without scaring them away. She later admits that she is in love with this person, so there's a new element added to the mix, with Lavigne hoping she's not too much for them because she is already intensely emotionally invested in the relationship. So it's about being open and honest and knowing that by doing so, you're risking losing someone that you're deeply attached to. It's a huge risk to take, and that uncertainty is reflected in the lyrics. "I don't want a conversation, I just want to cry in front of you. I don't want to talk about it because I'm in love with you." Lavigne knows how she feels and she wants to share that emotion, but there's also still a fear of rejection, that the relationship will crumble, will fall to pieces, that I think everyone can relate to when it comes to admitting how you feel about a person. And it's twofold. Lavigne says, "Want to know who you are, want to know where to start. I want to know what this means, want to know how you feel, want to know what is real. I want to know everything." She wants openness from this new person too. It's painfully relatable. Knowing how you feel, hoping it's reciprocated, but still being afraid. Vulnerability is hard, it's scary, and this song is a great reflection of that. Track 11, Freak Out. Freak Out is a great song on its own. It's a guitar-heavy song about moving on. A lot of the previous tracks have been angst-driven tales of being done dirty that seems to leave Lavigne angry and frustrated about her situation. If we follow this story, Freak Out takes place once some time has passed. There's still a heavy dose of angst. The song opens with what feels like a callback to Don't Tell Me, with "Try to tell me what I shouldn't do, you should know by now I won't listen to you." However, in this song, Lavigne has more confidence in putting her foot down. She has a reputation of calling the shots, and there is no sense that she's upset about the fact that that could leave her alone. The chorus follows, "I'm gonna live my life. I can't ever run and hide. I won't compromise." There's a lot more certainty and even joy in not letting other people dictate her decisions. She's staying true to the vow she made to herself in Forgotten, to not put up with less. In fact, she seems more concerned with not being authentic, and has a new motivation to stay true to herself. "I can't watch the time go by, I won't keep it inside." And if issues arise, if she faces trouble, sure, she's still going to experience those rational emotions of doubt and insecurity, but then she'll just freak out, let it go. You get the feeling that the heartache and anxiety expressed in the prior songs has been overcome. The second verse goes, "You don't always have to do everything right, stand up for yourself and put up a fight." It's another fourth wall break. She's talking directly to her audience. She's taken what she's learned from her experience and is delivering the message to stand your ground. I mentioned earlier that I think this track serves as a foil to the opening track, Take Me Away. In that song, Lavigne is stuck with the emotional burden of not knowing how to remove herself from a situation where someone else has caused her so much pain it's resulted in inner turmoil. Here, Lavigne is free from all that. She's found confidence in standing her ground and knows she isn't willing to compromise the things that she wants. She freaked out, but now she's learned to let it go. There's a lot of growth done in between the songs to get from point A to point B, and the great thing about Under My Skin as an album is the progression feels natural. Track 12, Slipped Away. Slipped Away is a beautiful song Lavigne wrote about the loss of her grandfather. It's a mournful track about the grief of losing someone you weren't able to say goodbye to. Lavigne's grandfather died while she was touring for her debut album, Let Go, and because of that, she wasn't able to say goodbye to him before he passed. She even performed the night she found out, and there's a video where she starts crying while singing Tomorrow. Anyway, Slipped Away still maintains the rock elements that are heard throughout the album, and even goes a little further during the bridge, in which Lavigne almost sounds like she's screaming. She screams, now you're gone, there you go, somewhere I can't bring you back. There's no metaphor to it, it's blunt and straightforward. It's a really raw and painful acceptance of the loss she's experienced. And the way her voice builds throughout the song and culminates in that acceptance is, I think, very truthful to the grieving process. It starts with a lot of sadness and gets worse before it gets better, in the same way the song starts out softer, climaxes at the bridge, and then tapers at the last lyric. I miss you. Track 13, I Always Get What I Want. Yeah, this one's bratty. I Always Get What I Want is exactly what the title insinuates. I think it's the most out-of-place song on the record, which makes sense because on CDs for Under My Skin, it's advertised as a bonus track, with CDs from the time of release only featuring 12 tracks. It was released as a digital single in the US and included as a bonus track on physical releases in Europe and Japan. It was also included as a B-side on the Nobody's Home single CDs and was used in The Princess Diaries 2, Royal Engagement. Should have won an Oscar this year, should have won an Oscar back in 2004. A moment of cinematic history. It reminds me a lot of Take It, another song by Lavigne that was released with the Australian single CD for My Happy Ending. It's on Spotify with the single version of My Happy Ending, you should give it a listen. I Always Get What I Want has a very punk rock sound and pretty surface level lyrics. This song emulates what I call Avril is a punk energy. Lots of people say Avril Lavigne isn't punk, but she's definitely a punk, like noun version. If you've never heard punk used in that way, it's definitely an older person's term. It's a way of calling someone a delinquent, a troublemaker, and this song is very anti-authority punk in that way. Lavigne seems to be rebelling against the expectations others have of her, forcefully, with lines like, don't want to always have to be so nice, don't want to hear you say, well, that's just life. I'll drown you out when I open my mouth and make my way around it. She's got her own way of doing things and she's going to make it work. I'm not about to take no for an answer no. If I tell you I can't, I'm still going to go. I did it all by myself and I found my way around it. At first I thought this song was very superficial, and granted, it kind of is. However, it's very Avril when you consider her history of fighting with her label about the kind of music she wants to make, refusing to get dressed up for photo shoots, etc. It's a proclamation of what we've always known to be true of Lavigne. She's going to do it her way, she's going to get what she wants, whether you support her in it or fight her. Under My Skin is a really interesting album, and I have a new appreciation for it after doing individual analyses of each of the songs. There's a lot of maturity in the lyrics Lavigne has written about her relationships in each of the songs. It's very angsty, not really in a teenage way, but in the sense that you hope you're making the right choices and have to deal with not really knowing. You get to go through the whole cycle of love. Realizing when something isn't working, having to put yourself first, being frustrated with how other people have treated you, grieving the loss of life and love, and accepting it. And then the fact that it's cyclical, that one bad experience doesn't stop you from loving, and being ready to be open and vulnerable again. You can recognize the growth from song to song, and the record feels like you're working through Lavigne's anger with her. She grows more and more confidence as the record progresses, and builds self-assurance. It's a great album, and I understand why for some Avril fans it's their favorite. From the lyrics to the composition, and the improvement you can hear in Lavigne's vocal performance from her first album to this one. The music videos and the way Lavigne has styled herself has this dirty, grungy vibe that even borders on gothic, and it matches the energy of the songs perfectly. It's an album about maturity. Growing into your own person, learning what that means, the kind of person you want to be, and becoming assertive and self-reliant. It's a great album, and I have a new appreciation for it. Put black in my hair to match her, can you tell? I feel like Trisha Paytas when she dresses up to for MCR. Like, in some ways, this is the real me, and in some ways, this is the most poser I think you can get. In some ways, I wish this is how I looked all the time, because it is exactly how I wanted to look when I was like 15, and now I'm in college, and like really I can do whatever I want. So like if I wanted to look like this all the time, I could. But would that be funny? If anybody I know is watching this, like, should I just do this? Should I show up to like meetings like this? I'm a corporate professional, but I'm also like, God.